All right, hi everyone. Thank you for joining me today in this Growing Your Business webinar. That's going to be the theme. So hopefully I'm able to answer some of your questions and just kind of tap into my knowledge and give you some tips, I suppose, about how you might look at growing an already existing business. Maybe you're a limited company looking to expand, or a sole trader looking to take that first step into being a limited company. So hopefully there's a little bit of something in there for everyone. So first things first, my name is Ben Schaefer. I'm the sales team manager here at Crunch. I'm responsible for bringing on new clients that are looking to join Crunch, give people advice up front about how best to structure their business, answer their questions, things like that. So I've had that conversation hundreds of times. So hopefully I'm able to pull on that experience and give some of that back to you, kind of summarize it and give it back to you guys. So the format of the webinar is going to be 10 essential topics or 10 tips in 10 minutes. What we want to do is try and get you asking yourself the right questions. So rather than it being an all-inclusive every answer to every question, we want to make sure that you're just thinking in the right way. On that note of questions, send us in your questions. There's a questions like pull tab on the widget thing of GoToWebinar. And you can ask your questions in there. Ask them live. I'll do my best to answer some of them at the end. If we don't get to it at the end, we'll make sure that everyone's followed up with. You get your response via email. We'll kind of summarize all the questions for you guys in an email too. So get your questions in when you think of them. A little bit about Crunch. So we're Brighton based. We've got about 10,000 clients based all over the UK. We help contractors, consultants, freelancers, small businesses, primarily with their accountancy needs. It's a software-driven service. So we give you software, you can do all of your accounts. You get support from a client manager, so you get human support, and then all of your accounts are filed as well. Alongside that kind of key accountancy product, there's also other products we offer like mortgages, business insurance, advice about pensions and investments too. So that's a little bit about Crunch and what we do. So let's jump straight into it. First things first, we're thinking about hiring your first employee. Now, as I go through this webinar, there's going to be all sorts of links to different guides, business guides, articles within our website. I'll send out a full and all-inclusive list of some kind of key reading for you guys at the end. So if there's anything I mention here, don't feel like you need to jump off and search for it. We'll give you a link at the end. So hiring your first employee, when you're thinking about this, give some consideration as to whether you actually need an employee. It can free up some of your time, but it's a pretty long-term financial cost that you're going to be incurring here. So you're going to have now the added responsibility of pension auto-enrollment. Even if your employee just wants to opt out of that pension auto-enrollment, you need to have a scheme set up for them in order for them to opt out. So that's something to consider as well. What you might want to do is consider using a subcontractor. You can get the same benefit, I suppose, in terms of workload being shared without the long-term commitment of an employee. How it generally works is they're just deemed to be self-employed. So you don't have to do payroll for them. They manage that themselves. If you're looking for someone like a freelancer, you can try like a job sharing site. One of our partners, Juno, have got a really good one where freelancers can advertise their skills. You can post jobs and you can kind of meet up with people that way. You could also go through an agency, whatever you want. There's just some things to consider, I suppose. But we've got a guide on hiring your first employee, which I'll link to at the end of the webinar. Next consideration is IR35. So this is something that is a really hot topic, often talked about for people that are contracting. So if you've got a question in relation to IR35, get that in, and I'll either answer it live or I'll try and circle back to it after the webinar and follow up with you individually. So what is IR35? It's legislation. It's designed to catch disguised employees, so people that are forming a company to avoid paying the tax of an employee. So it would stop me from coming to Crunch tomorrow with a business saying, right, I'm a contractor now. when really my job is still the same. I'd have all the same benefits. So that's the type of behavior that they're trying to stop me forming that business to avoid paying the tax of an employee. It can affect anyone that's contracting for another business. It's advisable to get your contract looked over by a professional, i.e. an accountant or an IR35 specialist. That's the only way you're going to know for sure. Do your research. It's not something that you want to just stick your head in the sand over and not worry about. It's definitely something that you want to have a look at. So jump on our website. There's loads of reading on there. I'll send you a link to a guide that we've got as well, an IR35 guide as well. There's like a calculator, a quiz you can take on our website, but you can see whether you might fall inside or outside of IR35 as well. Right, so next we've got your company structure. So if you're a sole trader, you're looking to form a limited company, maybe you've taken on a bit more work, your business is starting to grow, maybe you're looking to move away from PAYE and a side job and have this as your full-time role, there's a few things that you need to consider when thinking about forming a limited company. It's good for people that are earning generally about 35K or more. That's when it becomes efficient for you to be forming the limited company. It's a good long-term solution rather than something that's going to only be short-term. You can get the added tax efficiency that you might get with a limited company. When you're thinking about switching, it's really easy to switch from a sole trader to a limited company. It's just setting up a company and you start to work through that company rather than you as an individual. The other alternative that you've got is maybe thinking about umbrella. If you're only doing a short-term bit of work, umbrella can be quite good. If it's longer term, think about forming a limited company. Right, so funding, we talked to loads and loads of startups that classify themselves as a startup and are looking for some kind of funding. Things to consider, I suppose, are how are you going to get funds into this business? Is it going to be a personal loan that you get from your high street bank? There are government-backed schemes as well, startup loan schemes. You've got things like seed investment, so it's seed enterprise investment scheme. With that scheme, it allows your business to claim tax relief on funding up to £100,000. So there's loads of reading on a website that we can give you links to more specifics on those things. People like the Prince's Trust do funding for people from 18 to 30, up to £5,000. A lot of what we hear a lot of is crowdfunding, so things like Kickstarter, Crowdcube. There's a fantastic article on our website that one of the guys here has written, linking to all these different things. So I'll make sure I send that link to you guys as well at the end of the webinar. Tax implications. So if you're a limited company, you're going to be paying corporation tax. You've moved away from a sole trader where you're paying NI and income tax. You've now got a limited company. You're going to be paying corporation tax at 19%. You'll also be paying dividend tax depending on what you take out of the business. VAT, you don't have to register for VAT until your turnover is £85,000 in a rolling 12-month period. There can be benefit in registering before that, but it's worth speaking to an accountant to see what might be best for you and your business in your own circumstance. Credit control. As a business, and as your business is growing, you need to be on top of your cash flow. You need to have really clear payment terms for your clients, so get that in any contracts that you might have. Don't be scared to chase clients if they haven't paid you. But I think the main thing when people get unstuck sometimes is not having kind of clear, separate bank accounts for their business, be it a sole trader or limited. Make sure that you've got a distinct separation between your personal funds and your business funds. Is going to make your bookkeeping a whole lot easier. It's really simple stuff, but the more you stay on top of those finances, the easier your life's going to be when it comes to doing a tax return at the end of the year. So we just had self-assessment deadline come and go. I know that there's a whole load of people out there that would have found it a bit easier if they stayed on top of things as the year went on rather than trying to do it all at the end. Next, being a company director, what does that mean? Who should be a director? Should I have my other half rolled into the company as well? Every limited company that is set up needs to have at least one director. It can be of benefit to have your spouse as an additional director or shareholder, But again, it's really based on individual circumstance in terms of what they're earning, what you look like, you might be pulling out of the business, the implications of closing the company down, things like that. In terms of responsibilities, as a director, you have this business, it is your business. So ultimately responsibilities fall to you, like making sure that your accounts are filed, doing a self-assessment, and that's submitted once a year. Ultimately, an accountant will take that work away from you, but as your business, that's your responsibility to make sure that you have got that accountant in place to make sure that those things are done. Business insurance. It's just something that's designed to protect you and your business should something happen. So the fewer ones that we cover are professional indemnity. So that covers you if you provide negligent advice whilst working. You've got public liability, which covers you if a claim's made against you by the public. Maybe you accidentally injure someone whilst you're on site, it would try and cover you for that. Employer's liability is something that you'd need to take on if you did have employees. So think about what might be in your contracts. Think about situations where you might need this and what you would do if you didn't have this in place. We offer business insurance here at Crunch. So if you want to talk to someone specifically about business insurance, jump on the website, give us a call, and we can talk to you about kind of levels of cover, what might be right for you and your business. Marketing tools. So things like social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, great way to generate leads, great way to get some free interest in your business, whatever it is that you're doing. But as you all know, I'm sure, each platform is really different. It requires a distinctly different approach and in tone, I suppose, of the way that you engage and you talk to your prospect or your engaged kind of client base on your social media platform. I've got a really good guide that I'm going to share with all of you about social media marketing, about tone of voice and what to consider when you're doing that. Generating leads, again, you could look at a job sharing site like Juno, where people can look for work. You can advertise your jobs. Do you want to consider purchasing leads? That's something that can work as well, or use like an affiliate intermediary in terms of getting you some leads as well. So those things do exist out there too. Final tip is to get networking. So what you want to do is ideally you want to try and share some experiences with people that are in a very similar position to you. So it can be very liberating being self-employed. It can be quite isolating too. So you want to make sure that you're out there talking to people that are in a similar position. But also it's a good opportunity to get advice from people that are a little bit maybe further down the line than you, pick up from some of their experiences, but also look at it as an opportunity to collaborate on work and get some business opportunities out of it that way. We run kind of self-employed meetups here at Crunch via something called Crunch Chorus. So Crunch Chorus it's an online community. It's free. There's access to things like these webinars, business guides. There's even free invoicing software, and these meetups that I'm talking about. So if you're in the Southeast, check it out. If you want to check out some of our networking events, to sign up for Chorus, it's crunch.co.uk/chorus. It'll take you like a minute, and it'll drop you straight into the Chorus community. So questions. I'm going to try and answer one or two of these questions that have come in live. So let's have a look. I'm contracting. Should I be worried about IR35? Short answer is, it's nothing to be. It's not nothing that you need to be worried about, but it's probably something that you need to think about at least. Like I say, you want to do as much research as you can on the matter and not shy away from it. It can affect anyone, and it's about the contract that you've got with your client, which you want to get checked and potentially make some amendments to that contract. But it's also how you just engage with your client. What you want to do is make sure that you're not disguising yourself as an employee just to dodge the tax. So you want to make sure that, if you can send a replacement into work for you, then that is something that's available to you in terms of a clause of your contract. Just all sorts of little things. Things like having business insurance in place will help you potentially move away from being inside or outside of IR35. But my advice is to do some research online, download the guide, read up on it, and just know what people are talking about if it was to pop up to you. What else we got here? Do I legally need to have business insurance? No, but it's probably a good idea. Like I say, you would probably want to think about the times when, what would you do if you didn't have business insurance? Or like all insurance, it's if you don't claim, you don't use it, then granted, then you haven't really got any benefit from it. But if the worst was to happen and you did need to make a claim, then it's something that you're definitely going to want to have in place. The only thing that is legally required is employer's liability if you're going to have employees. Right, what else have I got? I've been working as a sole trader for the past few years without any problems. Why should I think about changing my business to a limited? So when you're moving away from a sole trade business to a limited, it's obviously the main thing that people are looking for is what's more tax efficient. Your limited company can be more tax efficient. One of the benefits is that you're a bit freer as to when you pull money out of the business, and therefore when you pay tax on the money that you've pulled out of the business, rather than it always just being out and out on the profits of your business in that year, in that tax year. The other benefit is it can look more professional. If you're looking to get work through an agency, generally sole trader ceases to be an option for you. You distance yourself a little bit from the work that you do. So if you're a sole trader, you are the business. You are the legal entity that is engaged in this piece of work. If you are a limited company, it is the company that engages with your client. So you are a step removed from that. And if there were anything to come up, there is that, it's only the company's assets potentially that are at risk rather than you and your personal assets, which could be at risk. So I think I'm probably going to call it about there. So look, I'm going to follow up with any questions that I didn't get to after this. There's going to be a recording that I send out to you guys as well. There's going to be a full list of all these recommended bits of reading that you've got here. So all of these guides, templates, links on the website, all that type of thing, they're all on there too. Next webinar is, we've got a mortgages webinar coming up in February. What am I talking about? In February. So here's a link to, here's what the knowledge section of those links look like too. So yeah, look, thank you very much for joining me today. If you need anything, give us a call, give us a ring. We're on Twitter @TeamCrunch.